Hello, hello. Welcome to the Lyons Den Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Lyons, and we're back with another review from Diarra from Detroit, season 2, episode 3. Um this show, I'm so excited to be back and talk about this show. There's so much to unpack. But first, we have to go over our Lions Den rules. You know how we do it on the Lions Den after dark. Grab your favorite beverage. Today's cup is from Wicked. Isn't it cute? Yes. Grab your favorite cup and get relaxed. Get your favorite snack and let's get right into it. So, Episode 3 picks up with a flashback. This flashback is where it answers some questions about Danger. So Danger after from season 2 or from season yes, no, we're on season 2. From season 1, at the end of the season we saw that there was basically a shootout with Danger and the gang that he was affiliated with. So it picks back up to what happens afterwards, where the activity is still kind of going on. They end up in the woods and somebody is there in the woods, and they both end up Danger is there and they both end up shooting at each other because remember, the head person got unalived. And so Danger is essentially trying to clean up the mess that happened, because they were connected to the disappearance of Chris. But also he knew, he was trying to protect, um, I cannot remember his name, but the husband of Diarra's neighbor from retaliation. So you meet him in the bushes, in the field, in the woods. They end up shooting at each other, which is something that we did not know. But then we see that some cowboys end up picking up Danger and taking him on a truck. And so it's just very interesting because you're just like, okay, are these just good Samaritans like that just happened to pick him up? So we are left kind of with some questions surrounding around that, like who did they is Danger with? Why did they only pick him up and they didn't pick up the other guy? But some of those questions will be answered later. So we flash forward back to present day, and Diarra and Chris are getting arrested from the last episode, which I forgot to mention. Sorry, guys, I believe I forgot to mention it. But when they arrived at the location of where a clue led them surrounding the desk, when they arrived, they saw that there were other dead bodies there, and also the gun that Chris's family gave him was at the crime of the scene. Now, when Booker, who is his, I'm not necessarily, I don't know if Booker's actually related to Chris, but I know that like his uncle is related to his uncle. Um, when he did attack Diarra and Chris in the previous episode, he did take the gun, and so that's how it ended up at the scene of the crime. So, because of that, the police arrest him, thinking he was in connection. Now, here's my thing, and shows always do this where they do make cops to be kind of like idiots and be really bad at their job. Not far from the truth, but in my opinion, but it's like, do you really think he would just leave a gun with his name, Chris, on it, and 3 people are unalived? Come on now. Come on. So I completely understood Diara's frustration in this moment because it's like, you guys can't be serious right now. Like, are we this dense? So she ends up being able to post bail. She wasn't accused, but because she was in association with him, of course, they held her for questioning. But her ex husband, as you know, is a lawyer, got her out. And the detective knows who she is. So he's also looking out for her. And he tells her, hey, I need you to cool. I need you to chill. I'm not not gonna lie, I really like their dynamic. It's very interesting in a contrasting way. And I think that it does a really good job setting it up for in the future on how they could either work together or how she'll always be there when it comes to being a PI. I think it's a really good contrasting dynamic, which you often see in a lot of other cop shows where the person who's really good at their job gets it done, especially if they're not on the police force, meets the person on the police force, and they kind of have this very unlikely duo relationship, like with Equalizer and Detective Dante type of situation. It goes like that. So, and I mean Lassiter with I mean, well, more so Juliet, but with Gus and Sean. So I like that we're setting that up to where this probably will transition to. But he tells her, "Hey, you need to stay away from it." Of course, she doesn't listen. But in the midst of this, though, Diarra was getting ready to break up with him. She was getting ready to end the relationship with him because she realized that they wanted totally different things in their life, and she's never gotten the opportunity to do that. So they're really stuck in this limbo. That's very awkward and weird for Diarra at this moment because she's like, "Dang, I need to get you out. Like, I need to." Um, you're arrested. I need to get you out, but at the same time, it's like uh I also need to break up with you. So it's there in this really weird stage. And so this is what's motivating her is like, okay, we gotta solve this thing because we got to figure out who really did it so that we can solve it and then we can have this talk and have this conversation so I can go ahead and break up with you. Which is a wild, place to be. So this is where they start the brainstorming. Her best friends are involved, which I absolutely love that they're down for her shenanigans, even though they murmur and complain. Love that, you know, and I mentioned this last time that people believe Diarra, and just that simple belief is where they do find success. And they do find danger, but they do find a level of success, and it's just very easy. Like it's very relaxing to be like, wow, here's a character where they believe this black woman, and this is what happens when you believe this black woman. People are found. You supposed to get a award, but it's a different story. But I just really like that sentiment. So she starts thinking about theories, and so she's like, okay, well maybe Booker is the shooter, which is the nephew. Maybe it's him, and Lisa, his girlfriend, is somehow involved with it. So she's going through different moments. You can see her deductive reasoning starting to happen. And remember looking at the crime scene, which she points out, okay, but the few people that were killed were Lisa's boss, who owned the antique shop, I believe. And if I'm mistaken, let me know in the comments, but one of Booker's friends. And so she's like, okay, maybe they were making a deal with the chest because it's worth a lot of money, clearly. And the person, there must be, they must have been doing a meetup to exchange and see if they can purchase the chest. Something goes wrong, and then there's a shootout. But why would Booker go and kill his own friend? That's where she's like, that doesn't quite make sense. While she's looking at the desk, it pushes her to be like, wait a minute. When you look up online, it says that there are a lot of hidden compartments and hidden things that are within this chest. So that prompts her to go and look at it prompts her to go and look at it in the dresser, and she finds that there's a hidden compartment in this replica. Because remember, Lisa is the one who made this replica, but if she was making this replica, then she would have done it perfectly. And so there that she finds a journal, and essentially in this journal, which, by the way, Lisa is very talented. The girl is, I mean, she can really go some places because phenomenal work. I just want to put that out there. But she finds her journal, and it's essentially her writing all her thoughts, and it served as the way to tell us the story on how we got to where we were when it comes to Lisa and Booker, and why they stole the dresser and want to sell it. And so in the journal, it is a bit of a love story of the two that found each other. He was in foster care. Lisa's dad, of course, is in a gang, and they end up finding each other. And his grandmother tells him about this desk and tells him his inheritance is in this desk. So he wants to find it so that he can get his brother out of foster care. So we find out that like he's not doing this from ill intent. He's doing it for a real reason. So therefore, that lets you know right there that okay, he's not just a little thug. He probably didn't kill those people because again, one of his friends was in this shootout at the scene of the crime. He probably had nothing to do with that. Why would he do that unless he got spooked or unless someone else was there and got spooked and he was managed to get away, which is the conclusion that they get to because in the journal Lisa does mention that there was a guy that came to the antique shop and her boss legitimately got frightened. So, their hypothesis is that that person was inquiring about the desk and showed up to the money exchange with multiple buyers. Somebody got spooked, started shooting, and Booker then left. So at this point, people cannot find Booker, but they're trying to figure out a way. How can we get him to come out and tell him that she has found the key? That is the plan because they need to find a way to free Chris, who is still in jail. Now, of course, her friend, especially Aja, is like, so how are you going to get this said key? What are you going to do? And she's like, well, we're going to find the key, of course. Love that the comedic timings of this show is absolutely phenomenal. And so, they are like, okay, well, we gotta make this happen. So let's try to reach out to Booker's brother who's in foster care to get a message to say, hey, Booker, we found the key in a way to open and we know where the dresser is, and we found a key as a way to help you find this dresser and see what's inside to get your inheritance. So their investigations lead them to a club that Booker used to work. And so they really went to ask and see had they seen Booker for a while. And the manager is loyal, which I understand because yeah, like you asking for people you don't know, you do need to be a little bit like, who are you and why are you asking? So she tells him, I don't know where he is. And if I did, I wouldn't tell you. Sorry, but you're just going to have to, I don't know, wait, see him when he comes up. And so while she's asking, Diarra is a very receptive person. She's the type of person that's going to look at things that other people would not want to look at. And that is one of her best superpowers. So she notices on the wall that there is this statue of this gang member who was killed in this speakeasy. So you hear this monologue of her talking about the history of the speakeasy club and how you would think something like that would not make people want to go and attend this club. But of course, now because of the hipster culture, people really like that edge. It's a good marketing plug. And so that's what the owner of the club does. People come, they take a picture of it, and it makes it popular, especially with the mood and vibe of the speakeasy. So it stands out to her. Well, while they're talking, having dinner, Chris's cousin also comes and they're like, oh yeah, I recruited him so he can maybe help us. He's essentially no help. And like it's like, wow, yeah. But he was there essentially to get in contact with Booker's nephew and also look into more of the things around Booker. Again, really doesn't help. I kind of felt like maybe they're setting him up to be with Aja, but I could be wrong. But they are polar opposites. But I like their banter felt like it was a lover's quarrel. Like, you hate each other, but maybe we'll end up together. I don't know. That's the vibe I got, but y'all let me know what you guys think on that. But that's what it's feeling like. So as she's there, she recognizes that, like, she continues to look at the things. She's like, wow, people are really impressed with this, but maybe this can give us something because, something about it caught her eye. Excuse me, as they get up close to the statue. Um, she notices that the initials have DD on the jewelry. Now, this DD was in, I think they found it in the desk. So she knew that, oh, wait a minute, is this person connected to this desk? And if that's the case, then that explains why different gangs and why so many people are trying to come after this desk, because clearly this means something a little bit more and they are aware of it. So then they start to look and see, okay, well, who is this gang member? Is there something that we could, or this person, individual, I'm calling them a gang member, but I think they were, I don't know, they were somebody, maybe just the person who died there. Um, but I think he was gang affiliated. But they were like, let's look at this cage and see if there's something identifiable or something about this person that lets you know anything of their past. So because she remembers in a flashback when she went to her to Lisa, to the antique shop where Lisa works, and she saw the goat. At first she thought it was some weird kinky something, like, why y'all got a weird goat here? But then she thought, like, wait, maybe that's for a fraternity, because that would also be a reason why somebody would have a goat. So they see that, oh, he was a mason. He was a mason. Like, maybe this person was a mason. They look at his pictures, they see that he is, they think through, okay, what type of mason that he would be. They also find out um that this is what Booker was looking for and why he was here and working, because he was looking at this statue to gather evidence and follow the clue on where the desk, or how to open up the desk. So this person, and she also finds out that this person was a part of the Purple Gang. So yes, he was a gang member, a Purple Gang. Now, but also he was a Mason. So this is where she knew, and he made a lot of money, which is why the chest was crafted, hidden, and probably paid money to have it. So it makes sense. This then says, okay, we need to come up with an idea on how we're going to go into the Mason meeting and see if we can find the key within one of their buildings hidden. Because surely, if his name is DD and this is a secret society, this person has probably hid the key as a way to protect whatever is in that desk. And then if you're a Mason, I mean, I believe like hidden things are, they're probably hidden for you. I don't know, as a member, or know how these secret societies work, but that's what I'm assuming. So, it had me ask, is Ron a Shaldine, which is what I believe they're called, but I'm not sure. But either way, she then decides she's gonna call her ex, the same ex that she met at the diner. I knew there was a reason why there's Method Man, because it was Method Man. Why he would be in this season? He wouldn't just be here for one episode. Clearly, like, you don't ask Method Man to come on the show if he's not going to play a bigger role. And he asked him, "Hey, I know that you used to be a Mason, or you're a Mason. I need you to get in here." And thus, this is where we have the funny photos of Aja and Diarra dressed like men, and Freemason men, to be exact. It's so hilarious. Aja is asked to go because they think that it's underground in a hidden compartment or hidden area in the building, and they need her to be small enough and petite to go and crawl and get it. So, yes. So they break into the Mason, and this part is absolutely hilarious. You have those moments where they're questioning who she is, and she looked just like that man. I don't know his name, but he was on SNL. She looked just like him. When I say that was hilarious, hold on, let me see if I can find him. Um, looks absolutely hilarious to me. I believe he's from SNL. Not recently, but like in the past. I don't think I can find it. But anyway, you guys drop in the comments who you guys think he looks like. But he, she looked, I think he's from SNL. Hilarious. And um they began the initiation, and on the flyer there's like a random guy. I don't know if you can really tell, but he's like in the background of the flyer. Yeah, we finally meet who that is. And when I say scary is an understatement, that man had me looking at him sideways like, world, what's going on? Oh my god, like he looks so scary. He ate that up, right, played the role, because I was kind of shaking there a little bit. We meet him. He ends up being the head of this chapter. And Diarra realizes that he's very perceptive, watchful, so she has to play this very, very well. She wants to go and look at areas in the building to see if there's some hidden compartments, but she can't do that because she's not a mason. But they start the initiation, and she decides that she's going to initiate. Okay. And it's all men hazing, so this is scary. But they play along, so you have a comedy moment where everyone is shouting out where they're from, and people give them their roll calls, and then we get to Diarra, and they just make up the craziest thing. And there's a moment where they open their shirts, and Diarra's like, she can't open her shirt because she's a girl. And so she's like, "Well, I can open up my pants because that's how we do it. That's how we do it." And he's like, "No, don't worry about it." So she's able to talk herself out of being exposed, literally. And then they do the step. She doesn't know the step. She doesn't know the roll call, but manages to go through because I guess men. And it's so easy. And then she goes through initiation where they blindfold her. Now, this is where I don't know what they took. I don't know what's in her drink. Mystery drink. Mystery drink alert. Don't know what was in her cup. Clearly, it was some type of psychedelic drink or drug. I can't relate to that. But clearly it was something, girl, because the girl was gone. And blindfolded, I guess they were pushing and shoving her, and hazing. Hazing. And in this moment though, Diarra disassociates. And I thought they did a really beautiful job of showing what her safe space is. And you find she ends up mentally back in her house with Danger. And because we remembered in that moment of season one where they've had this weird connection where it was more of an emotional connection, where he would come over, give her massages, she would actually go to sleep, pretty much created such a safe space for her to where her insomnia was cured and she could be at peace. So that was the place that she went to revisit to really disassociate and think about how she was going through this initiation. So we really don't know what was physically happening to her, but mentally she was gone. And so she has this conversation with Danger, talking through her subconscious, talking through the case, but also battling with, the fractured relationship of her and Danger and her and Chris, wanting to figure out where he is, but realizing she needs to focus on this one case because if Danger's gone, he doesn't want to be found. And because she's talking to her safe space, if you will, at a place of peace, she ends up finding more revolution and more resolution and more steps towards solving the mystery of where the key could be. So then when she kind of comes back, she ends up in a hallway to have her, I guess, rite of passage in sorts to the hall of previous Masons and finish her actually being initiated to a Mason Freemason men's organization. Um, she goes and walks around to look at the past Masons. She ends up finding Duncan. We find out his name is Duncan Dunset. He was a leader of the chat, or he was in the chapter. We see his photo, we see the Bible, and then by his name, you see this piece that looks like a chess piece. She ends up grabbing it. As she's grabbing it, looking at his picture, observing, the leader of this chapter comes by. Man, scary. Oh my God, terrifying. Like, comes right up on her. Again, Diarra gets caught. By now, you would think she'd be a little bit more cunning. She's not in terms of not getting caught. She's gotten caught. But he really wasn't. He reaches for her and she's thinking, oh my God, this is the killer. This is probably the man. He probably knows I'm here for fake. And really, he's just saying, congratulations on crossing. And that's when she realizes, oh, he can't be the shooter because he doesn't have arms. And so that disarms her clearly, because it can't be him. Um, because it's, anyway, yes. So he shares that he did serve in the military, and he's seen some dark things. So she was like, yeah, okay. Because you hear her narration, she talks about like some people are killers and you can tell a killer, but so it comes back full circle and says, yeah, I can spot a killer, but he ain't the one I'm looking for. So essentially this just takes you on potentially who could it be, who done it, potential people, especially as they try to identify the person that the antique owner was scared of, and probably the shooter. We find out that it's not him. After this is happening, we go back to Danger and we see that he is on this farm. The girl from Star is on the farm as well. And I'm like, okay, girl, I see you. Cool. She finds a liking towards Danger. They have like a banter, nice relationship. So you really think that Danger is no longer in danger. I had to. That he's found this safe space, found this quiet, soft life, doing this labor, can take it easy. Yes, there are what we do notice, and I think it was an Easter egg, but I don't think it connected until we get to the part that we're gonna get to. But there's a moment where he's in his trailer and the police come on the premises, and Danger is of course freaked out because they think that he's looking for him, and but they end up just passing on by. So you're like, okay, they're there because, well, I want to know why they're there, quite frankly, because it isn't like, why would the police be on a farm? But you're just thinking maybe they're just covering their bases and out looking for him. Well, when we get to this moment, Danger's having his dinner with them. It seems very happy-go-lucky, utopia vibes, but all white people. And I said, well, that's alarming. Why are you the only black person there? What is happening? Why are you the only Negro? That's alarming. It's very alarming. So it seems peaceful. It seems nice. It seems like he's escaped and he's found his peace. Well, after dinner, they're packing up the truck, getting ready to load up, and they're putting the carts and trays up on the thing. Next thing you know, sister girl pulls out a gun. Hey, she pulls out a pew pew. Hey, I need you to get on this ride or join this delivery. I said, oh, and there it is. There it is. There it is. There it is. This man cannot escape the lifestyle. So we find out this is all a front. They are very much still a gang. They're just covering it up as being a farm. And he essentially, for his safety and protection, has to be a drug delivery man for drugs. And so he's back in another um purgatory. and that he thought he escaped. He is now back in another purgatory. He is now, I guess it's a bad word, but a slave, if you will, to this lifestyle. The person, he can just simply not escape. So you do feel sad for him because you thought that he got a second chance. He, in fact, did not. And we will see how that evolves next when the new episode comes out. And it also tells us that it was not by accident that he was picked up, that this probably was some relation to the gang that he was a part of. They probably even knew him, and they said, okay, we can protect you, give you a place to stay, but you must be one of our runners. I'm interested to see where this goes. Can he even leave? Is the question. I don't know. Can he? I don't know. But it was just very like, oh, okay. And this is a different type of gang too, because I don't think you've seen. I'm sorry, an all white gang. At least they all look white to me. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't, but they were all white gang. And it also goes to. It also poses the question: why was the police there? Because if you're on a farm, why do you randomly come? So maybe the police was there because they were covering for them, or they've been accused before of hiding drugs, and they were sent out there to investigate, or they paying the police off to look the other way. Now it brings bringing the police as another element to this farm. So I'm curious to see how this evolves and get more answers to what's going on with Danger and all the things. So after that has happened, after she has become a Mason, she Diarra leaves. Uh Method Man distracts the crowd so where she's able to leave. I did forget to mention while they were trying to investigate, and at first thought that it would be underground, where Aja goes in the bathroom, goes underneath to try to find and see if there is a key down there. Her and Method Man end up having a conversation where, he's serious about wanting to have a child for her, an arranged relationship agreement, if you will, which seems to be pretty common these days. Um, he wants to make an agreement with her, and she tells that like, oh wow, he's at this point. He has his biological clock is also ticking like hers, because oftentimes we talk about it from a woman's perspective, but him as a man also. So there's something there that is really making and pushing him to want to have a child. I did notice in the previous episode where they did talk about the conversation of pregnancy, but it seemed like maybe she had aborted the baby because they were young. I'm not sure. Did you guys get that? Let me know in the comments, but that's what it seemed like and alluded to. Um, so it maybe was a part of the reason why they didn't work, but now they're back. He wants to really start a family with her, so he's answering a need that she has, because she wants to be a mother. So clearly there's going to be a lot more when it comes to this character. This is not a one-time thing. All again, while her current partner, who will be her ex soon, is in prison. This is all happening. Her this battle. So they leave. They figure out as they got the key, looking at his photo, that okay, where could the desk be? Um, and they see on the picture that there is a Bible and there is a church that is listed. And she recalls that in Lisa's journal diary that his grandmother, um, was in the church. And so it made her register that, oh, wait, it's probably at that church. And it's hidden because that's where the grandmother would go, or probably was, because she's a grandmother. And that was what was on that picture. So they end up going to the church. They go downstairs, they find it. The desk is here. Now, what I'm confused about is how did Ron, which is Chris, which is the person that asked him to investigate this desk, how did it end up at the church? Maybe, maybe Booker brought it to the church, and this is where it's been hidden the entire time. He just didn't have a way to get the key in order to open it. So now that I'm thinking about it, that's probably what happened. Is he knew because that's where his grandmother went to church that it was there, and he knew the fake one would be in the basement of her dad's house, because they placed it there as a decoy. That all makes sense. But she finds it nonetheless. She opens it, and it is a whole treasure map. So you're like, oh shoot, this is bigger than we thought. This about to go places that I didn't think could really go. And now we've opened up this new adventure to really see what is in this chest. As she opens it up, she gets a letter from the grandmother. I thought I had it written. Oh, it essentially says, um, you may inherit my inheritance, but you may also inherit my enemies. So it lets you know that this inheritance isn't just about money, but that there are probably people connected to this inheritance, enemies, dangerous consequences. Maybe the Mason guy was his grandfather that passed away, and his grandmother kept it safe. But recognize that this was very dangerous because maybe it was from the Purple Gang and something valuable in there that they want back returned because the antique owner, I believe, is also associated with Purple Gang. Not quite sure, but because Booker put it online to be sold, it alerted those people that it's still out there, and it has started now this whole uh cat and mouse situation on how can they get back the desk. So clearly there's something real juicy about this desk, real juicy about this map and what it will take them to. I'm assuming that the next episode will pick up where they finally get Booker and they're able to go investigate it and see what happens. As they leave the church and they go towards their car, a big old explosive. Jesus, I can't get my words out. Her car explodes. So again, we know that this is bigger than the desk, that there is a secret and something major about this whole thing that Booker does not realize he got himself into. And yeah, I'm excited. I don't know if I really have a prediction here on what I think will happen. I do think maybe gold could be involved because it's something I think people decades later would be willing to fight so hard over. Something of that value, rare, of some sort that was maybe taken from a mob or old gang member that the family took and kept hidden. Because for her to say that in a letter means, hey, this can really help you, but we got it in a shady way, so you're gonna have to be careful. That's what I think it is. But I do think because Booker was trying to do that, whoever that scary man was, who probably knew who knew Dee Dee, probably did in fact go left or go do his own thing, shoot up everyone in there, and Booker was able to run away free. That's what I think really did happen. So it has to be. It has to be gold of some sort, ruby, something, gem, something that very, very, very valuable. But it also could be the captain. I believe that's who it is, the captain from last episode. It also could be him doing a warning, which I don't think so because I do think that like she's left it alone and hasn't really brought it back up. Anytime someone brings it back up, she doesn't really talk about it. But it could be a scare tactic in that regard as well. I don't know. But I do think about on our first episode where where we have a flash forward to her running away from someone with a gun, that I do think it's connected to this new case because it seems like she's going underground to try to find something. So um yeah, side plot that I did forget to mention was Aja trying to figure out her hair business and dilemma when it came to um merchandising for it. I guess we'll see why we're spending moments there and spaces there because clearly I think there's something is going to come up and it's probably going to be either connected to her next case or connected to this one or probably connected to the captain in some way. Maybe he has to be a silent partner or something. It's connected in some way. Um, do I think that it will be connected to the captain? No, I do think this is a separate case actually. I think something else is gonna, like I just said, is gonna connect to him. So, yeah, that's what we learned. Danger is stuck on a utopia farm. Booker is innocent. He's just going about it in a very reckless way. Lisa is in love with Booker as well. Dee Dee is Duncan Doucette, who was a Mason, maybe potentially Booker's grandfather. And there is an inheritance that comes with enemies. So that is episode 3 review. Overall, I think I'm really gonna. I think I want to rate this a pretty high episode. I'm gonna go ahead and give it an give it a 9. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was funny. It had great comic relief, but the mystery was really good. How they got to the answers made sense. It really felt like a typical PI investigator TV show that we get. I really loved in this episode, we heard Diarra for the first time call herself a PI because it's been something that she really hasn't admitted, hasn't owned. She says she's a teacher, doesn't really know her purpose. And so this episode, she confirms that, like, yes, I am a PI. Yes, I do this. Like, this is now who I am. I can't hide it. So I think with just the acknowledgement really opens the door and it made me visualize where this show can go, and I'm really excited about it. And I hope that it is renewed and we get to see Diarra evolve into that PI investigator and actually take on cases. And we go through these different journeys with her. Listen, if we can do it for Elizabeth, we can do it for Syed, we can do it for Monk, we can do it for all of those things. I would love to see it for Diarra from Detroit. It's so refreshing, especially to see it from a Black woman who has a natural ability to be so intuitive, deductive, great deductive reasoning, a little bit of photogenic memory, little bit of that. But then it's also going for cases that are very unconventional. It's so fun. It's so fun. And then the jokes and the dancing still rooted in Blackness. We don't get to see it. I absolutely love this show. Yeah. Last episode is getting a 9 out of 10 for me. What would you guys rate this episode? Let me know in the comments. But that is a review on episode 3. We'll be back talking about episode 4 next week. It did come out today. And also let me know if you want me to come live a little bit earlier, I can do that as well. But that is all that I have for you guys. Thank you for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And catch me over on Instagram and TikTok at Lauren.Ashley. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys next week. Bye.